is Sports Drive.
Welcome into Sports Drive once again. I'm your host, Preston Moore. We have a great show lined up for the rest of the time today. I mentioned earlier in the show we would talk a little bit about the Dallas Cowboys, things going on within the organization, new things every day, whether they're bringing people on or letting people go or whatever it may be in between. Joining me to talk about that today is Editor-in-Chief of Blogging the Boys, RJ Ochoa. RJ, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Preston. Thanks for having me. Happy almost Easter. Happy spring break. Happy opening day. Happy NCAA tournament. Happy basically everything but the Cowboys these days.
That's very well put. Happy basically everything but the Cowboys. You know, I dressed in my Cowboy colors today because I know one time I had you on the show and I accidentally wore Eagles colors. Didn't think about it at that point, but I can't necessarily say that I'm feeling a lot of pride for the Cowboys right now, even though I'm a Cowboys fan with what's been going on. This morning, Jerry Jones came out speaking about the Dak Prescott contract extension situation where right now he's poised for a massive cap hit for this next year. Basically, a big reason why they haven't made a whole lot of moves in free agency, even though they certainly could have restructured or extended him already to avoid that. But that being said, owner Jerry Jones came out this morning and said, we are where we are, locked and loaded for this year. What do you take from a statement like that, given the point in time that we're in and all that's been circulating about the Cowboys' inactivity during free agency?
This has been a really unique offseason in a lot of ways. I think a lot of people are acting like it's exactly how the Cowboys have operated in the past. I think it's similar, but I think it's unique just in terms of the complete and total reluctance to do anything. I think anything that is being said now is just parlance. I think it's just saying what makes sense, saying something to pass the time by. I don't buy that there was this massive plan. I don't, whether that was a good or bad plan, hypothetically, I don't buy that we're on step 5 of a 20-step sequence or anything like that. I think that the Cowboys are floating, they're existing. They're a balloon that you let go of. And, the balloon isn't necessarily deciding to go anywhere. It's just at the mercy of the wind. And so we're kind of all at the mercy of the Cowboys. And whatever the NFL event is that they're charged with speaking at, whether it's the NFL Combine or a random event in Dallas or in this particular case, the owners' meetings, I think the Cowboys are just living in the moment. It's carpe diem for them, and it's everything else for all of us.
Right, and Ian Rappaport was the one who broke this news and broke this quote, I guess, and tweeted out. And then he tweeted out again afterward, and I saw that you quote tweeted it as well on Twitter. And it's just, this tweet was a little bit more direct and a little bit more, I think what you said was a little bit more scary. Terrifying is what you said. And I agree in a lot of ways. His second tweet, he quote tweeted his own tweet originally about the Jerry Jones quote this morning and said, this appears to clear the path for Dak Prescott to test free agency in 2025. This has been something that's been, I want to say rumored. I don't want to say like rumored professionally. It's not something that anybody really thought would happen, but a lot of fans maybe thought once they made that Trey Lance trade, thinking, okay, maybe are they trying to luck into a quarterback for the third time in a row now with Trey Lance by trading just a lower round pick for him. When you see a tweet like that says Dak Prescott may test free agency in 2025 from Ian Rappaport, one of the most well-respected, incredible NFL reporters in the business. When you see a tweet like that, what are your thoughts? What do you take from that, knowing this certainly could be, we could be looking at the last season with Dak Prescott with a star on his helmet?
Yeah, I think that this, I agree with you. It wasn't ever, rumor is a heavy word that people throw out a lot, but I think it always existed in the realm of practical possibilities. Now, whether or not we ultimately got there, even now still technically remains to be seen. And the reality of the situation is that Dak Prescott is now less than a year away from true open market free agency. And whether or not you or your viewers or anybody believe him to be a positive player or a negative player, the reality is he is a very capable quarterback in the NFL. And we've never seen anybody hit the open market like that. Yes, we saw Kirk Cousins, obviously, this offseason, but he was coming off the Achilles injury. We've seen Kirk Cousins in the past, but he wasn't regarded, obviously, in the breadth that Dak Prescott is. And we have no idea what that landscape would look like 10 months from now, to be fair. We saw Peyton Manning hit open market free agency 12 years ago, but he was coming off of a serious neck injury, and nobody knew what he would look like, obviously, across the rest of his career. So Dak Prescott is potentially facing a historical set of circumstances. And so the closer you get to that, the more difficult it's going to be for him to turn it down. In fact, it's just my personal opinion, but if Dak asked for it, I'd say, dude, I mean, you've got to go for this. I mean, you're talking about beyond, NFL money, beyond quarterback money. You're talking about generational wealth that could possibly be achieved because you could pit NFL franchises against one another in the name of acquiring the most valuable asset that a team can have. And so it seems like the only way he would turn that down would be if it was worth it. And in order for it to be worth it, it would have to be something really significant. And so I do think that is very well possible. And if you are somebody that doesn't believe in Dak Prescott, you still should be upset, because you shouldn't be fine and excited about a future without him. You should be beyond upset that the Cowboys haven't done anything to get anything for him, because if somebody is willing to pay Dak Prescott, why would they not have been willing to pay for him in the here and now? He does have a no trade clause, but that's something that he could have vetoed. You could have worked with him and at least tried to work with him and said, hey, Dak, look, we've laid this out. We're grateful for your friendship and your participation, but we think it's best to move on from you. But we would like to start that process now. If you waive your no trade clause, we'll work with you on finding a partner. That way we benefit something in the long run as well. But now the Cowboys are on the verge of watching him walk for absolutely nothing. It would be, quite frankly, a historic mishandling of the most premium asset that an NFL team can luck into, which the Cowboys did with him in the first place, as you mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It would be very, very interesting to see how all of this goes down. Obviously, we're still a little bit of a ways away, and the Cowboys could still certainly extend Dak Prescott. They have the time, and they have a few months still left to do so before the season, but it would be really, really interesting to see if they don't. It kind of mirrors the last time that we had this conversation with Dak Prescott and the extension. They could have done it one off season, and then they waited a year. Dak had a phenomenal year, and then the price tag obviously went up after that year. So very interesting to see how all of this shakes out with the Cowboys. A lot of interesting stuff going on in the front office. I know that certain fans would be okay seeing him go. Personally, I'm not of that opinion, but I know that certain fans would love to see him stay, and who knows what the Joneses are thinking. It seems like it's pretty unpredictable the way that things can go back and forth all the time. RJ, thank you for coming on the show. Really appreciate you talking a little bit of Cowboys, a little bit of Dak. Excited to see what goes on. I say excited, hesitantly excited to see what happens with this situation, and I'm sure we'll talk about it at a later date. But once again, can't thank you enough for coming on the show and talking today.
Of course. Thanks for having me. No matter what does or doesn't happen, it will be interesting and it will be dramatic. That is something you can set your watch by when it comes to this team.
That is the Dallas Cowboys, and you can bet your house on that. Interesting and dramatic are maybe the two best. Maybe we should rename them the Dallas Interesting and Dramatics. I think that might be a little more a little more accurate to the team. RJ, once again, thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. We'll be right back with more Sports Drive right after this break.